Okay, so we all hear the word meme thrown around constantly. But what if I told you that its real meaning has almost nothing to do with those funny cat pictures and everything to do with a wild scientific theory that might just change how you think about your own mind? It all starts with one simple but kind of scary question.
No, really, take a second and think about it. Are the ideas rattling around in your head actually yours? Or could it be that you're just a temporary home for them? This one question, well, it's at the very heart of the science of memetics. For most of us, memes are the lifeblood of the internet, right? A hilarious image, a phrase that catches on, a viral dance challenge. They're fun, they're everywhere, and they feel like a totally modern thing, a product of our super connected world.
But that's just scratching the surface. The original idea of the meme is actually much older, and honestly, so much more profound. It's this powerful theory that looks at culture not as something we humans create, but as something that evolves all on its own, maybe even with its own agenda. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to go back, way back to 1976, when a biologist came up with this pretty radical idea. What if culture evolves in the exact same way that life does? So, in his famous book, The Selfish Gene, Richard Dawkins needed a word for a unit of cultural transmission, and he came up with meme. You can think of it like an atom of our culture. A catchy melody, the idea for building an arch, a popular catchphrase, a fashion trend, yep, all of them are memes. And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at this analogy. We all know that genes are replicators, right? They use DNA to build bodies so they can pass themselves on. Well, the theory goes that memes are replicators too, but they use our brains and our culture to store, transmit, and copy themselves. The medium is different, DNA versus brains, but the goal is exactly the same, survival. And this is the part that really messes with your head. According to this model, a meme couldn't care less if it's good for you, the human host. It doesn't care if it's true or beautiful or useful. The only thing that matters, its only measure of success, is did I get copied? Memes act in their own self-interest, not ours. So if ideas are like little viruses, all competing to survive, what makes one idea go viral while another one just fizzles out? Well, it turns out there are some pretty clear rules to this game. Just like in biology, a meme's fitness comes down to three basic things. First, longevity. How long does it stick around? Either in someone's memory or, drawn on a wall. Second, fecundity. How good is it at getting copied and spreading around? And finally, copying fidelity. How well does it stay true to the original as it gets passed along? This little doodle, Kilroy was here, is a perfect example. Way before the internet was even a dream. It was just a simple drawing in 3 words. It had amazing fecundity because it was so easy to copy, and its mysteriousness gave it real longevity. This thing infected the entire globe, scrawled by soldiers everywhere from the battlefields of Europe to the top of Mount Everest. And here's a more modern one. The Good Times computer virus was a total hoax. There was no virus. The warning itself was the meme. So how did it survive? It tapped into a really powerful psychological hook: fear. That fear made you forward the warning to everyone you knew, making sure the meme replicated, whether it was true or not. So this is the life cycle right here. First, you come across an idea or a behavior. That's observation. Then your brain chews on it. That's interpretation. You decide you like it, you make it your own. That's adoption. And then you pass it on by talking or writing or doing something, and boom, replication. Just like that, the meme has successfully jumped from one host brain to the next. Okay, now we need to make a really big mental shift. We like to think that we're in charge, right? That we choose which ideas we like for our own reasons. But memetics asks us to flip that around and consider the opposite. What if ideas are using us for their purposes? Just let that one sink in for a second. This point of view suggests that what you call yourself, or your personality, isn't really one single thing. It's more like a collection of successful memes, your beliefs, your habits, your values, that have all teamed up because they're better at surviving together inside your brain. So your brain isn't some fortress with you standing at the gate deciding who gets in. It's much more like a rainforest, a chaotic, competitive ecosystem where thousands of different memes are constantly battling it out for the limited resources of your attention and your memory. And sometimes, memes don't just act alone. They team up into something called a memeplex. This is an amazing example: the Old Testament. Look at this timeline.
You can see how, over thousands of years, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It absorbed and adapted existing memes from all the cultures around it. Creation stories from the Enuma Elish, flood myths from the Epic of Gilgamesh, law codes from Hammurabi. These ideas bundled together, protecting and reinforcing each other, creating this massive structure that's way more resilient than any one of those ideas could ever be on its own. So all of this, it brings us right back to that first big question. If our minds are just these battlegrounds for ideas to wage war, what does that mean for our sense of self, for our free will? You know what I'm talking about, that ridiculously catchy song, The Earworm, that you didn't ask for, maybe you don't even like it, but it just plays on an endless loop inside your head. Did you choose to think that, or did that thought just invade? If we look at it from the meme's point of view, the song's catchiness is just a survival trick. It's a feature that makes it really, really good at taking up space in a brain. It's not there to entertain you. You're the hardware it's running on. You are its host, and that endless repetition is just its strategy to survive and spread to the next person you hum it to. And this leads us to the biggest, most profound challenge that memetics throws at us. If your beliefs, your desires, your morals, even your sense of self are really just the collection of the most successful memes that have managed to colonize your brain, then what's left over? Who is the you that's doing the thinking? Ultimately, memetics leaves us with this one deeply unsettling question. It suggests that maybe our consciousness isn't the captain of the ship. Maybe it's just the ship itself, built by and for a crew of selfish, replicating ideas. What you do with that thought? Well, that's up to you. Or is it?